what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars to the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets spread there, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, sing us that star-spangled banner yet waves, for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All the promises that make America the nation it is today. If only that were true for every American citizen in these very racial and unjust times. There was one thing standing in the way: color. Just like it took one individual to stand and call for one of the greatest life-changing events in history. That man goes by the name of A. Philip Randolph. To unleash a wide variety of solutions to this civil inequality, A. Philip Randolph called for the March on Washington in 1941. Here's an excerpt from his call.
Here to fight for jobs and national defense. We call upon you to struggle for the integration of Negroes in the armed forces. We call upon you to demonstrate for the abolition of Jim Crowism in all government departments and defense employment. Verily, the Negroes' deepest disappointments and direst defeats, their tragic trials and outrageous oppressions in these dreadful days of destruction and disaster to democracy and freedom, and the rights of minority peoples, and the dignity and independence of the human spirit, is the Negro's greatest opportunity to rise to the highest heights of struggle for freedom and justice in government, in industry, in labor unions, education, social service, religion, and culture. Dear fellow Negro Americans, be not dismayed by these terrible times. You possess power, great power. Our problem is to harness and pitch it up for action on the broadest, daring, and most gigantic scale. In this period of power politics, nothing counts but pressure, more pressure, and still more pressure.
Is the setting aside of our differences with where we stand religiously. We unite to confront the issues of civil equality. 50 years ago, I believe the March on Washington showed the best in humanity, as several prominent figures unified and spoke up without concerns for another's religious identity. Their model of unity gives us something to aspire to, as well as something to think upon in the present day.
The struggle to claim civil rights for African Americans arose two very different men. Men who based their civil rights arguments on either deep historical roots or occurring events. First, Henry David Thoreau, and then John
What is it? A tradition, though a recent one, endeavoring to transmit itself from here to posterity, but each instant loses its integrity? It has not the vitality and force of a single living man, or a single man can bend it to his will. It is excellent, we must all allow. Yet this government never of itself furthered any enterprise, but by the alacrity with which it got out of its way. It does not keep this country true, it does not settle the West, it does not educate. The character inherent in the American people has done all that has been accomplished, and it would have done somewhat more if the government has not sometimes gotten its way. All men recognize the right of revolution. That is the right to refuse allegiance to, and to resist the government when its tyranny or inefficiency are great and unendurable. I think that it is not too soon for honest men to rebel and revolutionize.
It is true that we support the administration's civil rights bill. We support it with great reservations, however. Unless Title III is put in this bill, there is nothing to protect the young children and old women who must face police dogs and fire hoses in the South while they engage in peaceful demonstrations. In its present form, this bill will not protect the citizens of Danville, Virginia, who must live in constant fear of a police state. It will not protect the hundreds and thousands of people that have been arrested on Trump charges. What about the 3 young men, field secretaries in Americus, Georgia, who face the death penalty for engaging in peaceful protest. My friends, let us not forget that we are involved in a serious social revolution. By and large, American politics is dominated by politicians who build their careers on immoral compromises and ally themselves with open forms of political, economic, and social exploitation. To those who have said, be patient and wait, we have long said that we cannot be patient. We do not want our freedom gradually, but we want our freedom now. We are tired. We are tired of being beaten by policemen. We are tired of seeing our people locked up in jail over and over again. And then you holler, be patient. How long can we be patient? We want our freedom and we want it now. We don't want to go to jail, but we will go to jail if this is the price we must pay for love, brotherhood, and true peace.
We are here today to speak about our women, who were an inspirational part of the 1963 March on Washington. The roles these powerful women have taken, such as Marian Anderson, Daisy Bates, and Rosa Parks, were just a few who fought for what they believed in. Aside from being present at the march, their contribution was much greater. They opened the doors to future organizations that also needed to be heard. In the modern day, their efforts have shown through because we now have organizations like the LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual community, and the NCIRR, National Coalition for Immigrant Workers' Rights, to promote the equality for all immigrant women and their families living and working in the United States. These organizations formed their own movement that got them to where they are now, which proves there are no limitations to what we can achieve regarding our rights.
We cannot walk alone. And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied. As long as our Negroes are the victims of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality, we can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the motels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We cannot be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their selfhood and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. We cannot be satisfied as long as a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believes he has nothing for which to vote. No, we are not satisfied, and we will never be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream.
For coming, we hope you enjoy our program.
The original March on Washington would not have happened without someone who did the logistics. Tenzing Weinchuck was our Bear Bruston. And everyone else has a place in the program, so you can see who did what. But thank you very much.
That really should move everyone, and the fact that it's not being talked about enough is something that's really shocking.
I feel like it reflects what's happening today, and it lets people know that no one should ever tolerate the cruelty of being discriminated by their race and not by the content of their character.
Really feel the words that they're preaching, because you feel the passion that they're feeling at that moment in their words.
I think today set like a great example, because like when the actual march, it was like a really hot day and like everybody was complaining and like they still like did it, and then today it was like struggle like that. So yeah.
How did you all choose what you were going to present?
That's a good question.
Well, some of us were given. I chose John Lewis because he wanted to add things to the bill that people weren't really paying attention to. So I chose him because I agreed with him because he was stating that there was police brutality going on and no one was addressing it, so he decided to take charge and address it himself.
Speaking about addressing, I wanted to address the problems that were going on and the reasons for the march. So that's why I wanted to hear your introduction.
I chose Martin Luther King Jr. because I felt like he encouraged people to not give up and showed them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So that just, in a way, reflects me. I'm a person who likes to motivate people to be the best version of themselves, I guess, and pushing them to do better than what they're doing at the moment. So, I mean, I just chose him because, I don't know, I thought he was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Did you hear any recording of his speech?
Professor Brown was generous enough to show us those recordings.
As much as we could, yeah. To answer the pedagogical question, we used the original program and
Right.
went through it. Why a march instead of some other form of protest? Why the Lincoln Memorial for the event instead of some other venue? And then why these people at this event, labor leaders were there. Tatiana read a piece from one of them, A. Philip Randolph. We have been unable to get a hold of Walter Reuther's remarks, but you know, we're working on it. Religious people were represented. Matthew Ortiz kind of scooped them all together. But I forget, Ridwana, remind us how come you got Henry David Thoreau? Did
she
you
loves
end
him.
up with him or did you pick him?
You actually provided me with this part.
Okay. Yeah.
I suggested him,
Yeah.
and then you kind of just...
Yeah, then we put it together that way. Yeah, this was very much an interactive piece for the people who do drama.
Very well done.
So-
Very well designed and delivered. Thank you.